Okay, and if a is greater than 1, then it's going to be an increasing function. That's our base. If our base is greater than 1, then it's increasing. If a is between 0 and 1, like was the case here, a was 1/2, it's going to be a decreasing function. The y-axis is always going to be our vertical asymptote, which is at x equals 0. And then the domain is always open 0 to infinity, and the range is negative infinity to infinity. Unless you have some kind of left or right movement, then that's going to change this, but it'll never change the range. All right, so let's go ahead and graph. So in this case, our base now is 5. So if I make a little XY chart, I have -1, 0, and 1. My base is 5, so it's going to be 1/5 and 1 and 5. And there's no other movements on the graph. That means, since there's no left or right movements, my vertical asymptote is at x equals 0. I always like to put that in there because then I know what my graph is approaching. 1/5, -1 is here, 1, 0 is here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, comma 1 is right here. So in this case, the domain is still open 0 to infinity, and the range is negative infinity to infinity. For this next one, now my base is 3, so it's going to be, and I'm running out of lead. Another pencil would be helpful. So -1, 0, and 1, and here this is going to be 1/3, and 1 and 3 using my base. Now where does this move it? It's going to move it left 2, which is going to change my vertical asymptote from x equals 0 to x equals -2 here. So I'm going to place that in here. Then I go back to my XY chart. Is that going to change your x's or y's? It's going to change your x's by subtracting 2. So you're going to subtract 2 from all of these x's. Use your calculator if it helps you, but this will be -1 2/3. This will be -1, this will be 1. And now plot your new points, just using your transformation. So -1 2/3, comma -1, -1, 0, and 1, 1. And then here's your graph. This is why it's nice to place the vertical asymptote in so that you see what your graph is approaching. So then your domain is from -2 to infinity now. Range is from -infinity to infinity. And this next one, the base is now 4. This is on the outside, so it's going to move it up 2. But I'm still going to start with my XY chart. -1, 0, and 1 on the y's. I'm going to have 1/4, 1, and 4 on the x's. And then this is going to move the y's by adding 2 to all of them. So this would become a 1. This is 2. This is 3. There's no left or right movement, so my vertical asymptote's still at x equals 0. And then it's 1/4, 1, 1, 2, and 4, 3, and then I can graph. In this case, my domain is 0 to infinity, and my range is from -infinity to infinity. And the last one, I've got -1, 0, and 1. I have 1/3, 1, and 3. This is going to move it left 2, which again is going to change my vertical asymptote to where it's x equals -2. I'm subtracting 2 to all the x's, and I'm adding 1 to all the y's. So if I subtract 2 to these, it's -1 2/3. This is going to be -1 and 1. If I add 1 to all these, this is 0, 1, and 2. And if I replot these points, -1 2/3, 0 is here. And then -1, 1 is here. And then 1, 2 is here. And so then my domain is from -2 to infinity, and my range is from -infinity to infinity. And I'll talk more about domain and the back page when we're in class on Wednesday.